What's up? I'm Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped Podcast. We have a special guest for you, Chase Gallagher, $2 million in business, 12 employees in Philadelphia. And bro, I've seen this guy on social media, seen him on TikTok, Instagram, and he's always smiling because he's getting paid and he makes it look easy. And I'm so excited to actually, I was in Vegas about a week ago and I met him in person. He was there. We were at a jobber conference learning about some top secret AI stuff. And I turn, there's Chase. He's smiling, comes up, shakes my hand. Bro, we've seen each other on social media. We got to meet in person. And I'm so impressed with how professional he is. Even at one point when he was talking during the meeting, I was like, dude, this guy, he's going to be a billionaire, bro. So we decided to do a podcast and I want to interview him, especially for you guys if you've never heard of him, and talk about, bro, how did you get your business started? How did you get to where you're at? And talk about some of the pitfalls and the struggles and ways that you're 24 years old. I mean, that's the age where I came online and you're already doing $2 million in your business. Really exciting times. And so I just want to interview you, bro, on the podcast. And if you're listening here on social media live, leave a comment. And if you're listening on the Untrapped Podcast on Apple and Spotify, we're about to cross 1 million downloads. Super excited for that. And so thank you for our regular listeners for listening and watching the show. What's up, Chase?
Keith, thank you again for having me, man. It's just crazy how the world works, brother. Like I was telling you in Vegas last week, I grew up, like you want to talk about how I started my company. I grew up watching your videos. Like that's how I started. I would like figure out, I would watch your video and be like, all right, that's how you edge a bed. That's how you pull a weed. That's how you remove a bush. I learned that from you. That's how I got started.
Bro, thank you. It's a great honor. I appreciate that. So what year was that? How old were you?
Brother, I was 13 or 14 and 15 when I was like studying your videos. They were like 24 minutes, 28 minutes. And my mom would overhear because I have you on in the car. And like my mom would be like, who are you watching? Why do you keep watching this guy? Because like you were at this point in your life, I remember you were so sentimental at the end of the day. Like you were making these videos, you know, going through your struggles, like the honesty. And it was just like addictive to watch at that age.
Dude, that's amazing, man. That's a great honor to me. If you see me looking down at my phone, I'm making sure it's live on the platforms. Yeah. That's a huge honor to me. And I just want to take a moment to let that sink in. Wow. I was the broke kid with no mentors and no social media. And you're telling me you were a young teenager watching my videos. That's really freaking impactful, bro. That's hitting me really hard right now. You're welcome, brother.
Thank you.
All right, so what services did you start out? I feel like I'm very emotional right now. That's amazing. What services did you start out with when you first got started, bro?
I was mowing lawns. My name was Buzzcut Lawn Care, and all I did was lawn care. That's all I knew how to do was mow lawns, weed a couple beds, and I did that from literally 13 from when I started my company. And then when I got closer to the age of 18, I was doing more and more project-based stuff, spring cleanups, planting installs, rip outs, things like that.
Nice. So what services do you offer now? 2 million into the business, 12 employees.
We do design and build. So majority of my revenue is designing a landscape or a hardscape or a backyard. And then we're going to install that, or it's drainage work, or it's, you know, spring cleanups, mulching projects, full property cleanups, or it's commercial snows. Like those are my lines of revenue.
Nice. Now, did you start one service at a time and grow as you went, or did you just go all in?
That's a good question. I would say technically it was one service at a time.
Mm-hmm.
One service at a time. I when I was probably 18, I sold, you know, like what you would call on your YouTube channel a French drain. You were like, you can make 1,200 a pop, 5 gutters, and
they weren't even French drains. I didn't know what I was talking about. They were just buried gutter downspouts.
Exactly, because I'm like, why is he calling this a fucking French drain? But regardless, I called it a French drain. My homeowners called it a French drain, and they still got the result they wanted. So it worked out. Right. But you know, I started doing one gutter at a time. Then I would do, you know, rip out 4 shrubs, work with my nursery, install 4 new ones, and then it just kept escalating and escalating. Okay,
so you're obviously shrub trimming and mulch and decorative stone and ripping out and installing shrubs and doing all these things. Then at some point you started elevating and getting into what, designs?
Yes.
So did you design them yourself? Where did you learn how to design, or do you have somebody that designs for you?
I have a designer. I had a designer, and I still have a designer. But basically, when I was like 19, 20, that's when I started selling designs. That's when I was like, all right, well, this client kind of wants a design. Actually, at the time, my ex-girlfriend did a couple of designs to begin with, and then we like hired a designer and stuff like that.
So, like, where did you find a designer? Not asking like your designer, just where would somebody find a designer?
Online on Instagram, you can search up landscape designers. You can go in these community forums. You can ask mentors. That's what I did, and I was connected. Luckily, my designer, my first real design firm, found me. I forget how we got connected. His name was Kevin, and he was actually local to this area, former landscaper, younger guy, him and his business partner. And he was like, yo, man, like we worked together on some snow or something like that. We were like trying to work together on snow in the wintertime. Didn't work out. Then he reached back out early spring, was like, hey, man, I have a design firm. First design's free on us. And that's how I got started. It was a real blessing because those guys were local. So he even agreed to come out and walk the property with me with the client, talk about this, that. Kevin even gave me his contract he used when he was doing design and builds. I was on these Zoom calls with my clients and him, and I would just pick up word tracks, things like that.
So, did you trust him right away, or did you have to take a leap of faith or a risk?
I definitely had to take a risk. I would say it was a mixture, Keith, if I'm allowed to say that, because at the time I was such a newbie. Him walking on site and saying what he's saying, it's like that's the expert. I'm learning from every single sentence coming out of his mouth. So there was already you know what I mean? There was already trust, so to speak.
I really want to dig in here. So do you have, well, first of all, what software do you use?
Brother Jobber, me and you both.
Oh, I know you use, what software? We use Jobber too. We're Jobber ambassadors. But what software do you use to do the landscape designs?
I have no idea. Everyone asked me that in the Instagram DMs, guys. I have no idea. I couldn't even name a landscape design software.
That's amazing. Okay, so when you get this design, how do you work with the customer to keep changing it or doing iterations to where they're happy?
So that's done on these group calls with the designer.
Are you there too?
Some of them I am, some of them I am not.
So the customer just hops on their laptop or their computer and they look at the design. So who takes initial photos of the house or Google Earth? What do you do?
So how the full process works is I'll go out on site and talk to the client about what their scope of work looks like. And then I deem it, is it a design project or is it a non-design project? Are we just installing a couple boxwoods, some landscape lighting and fixing a drainage problem? All right, those are proposals I can type up in Jobber and send out immediately. If it's like, hey, this client has a vision, but not specs, not product pick out, all these kind of unanswered questions, then I sell a design and I say, hey, this is perfect for a 3D rendering. We can do this for $1,500. It comes off the price of the project. When you do hire us, it's about a 2-week process. I take my pictures, videos based on what you said today, send it to my designer. You and my designer hop on an initial phone call. He'll render some things out. Then you hop on a Zoom call, go through the full design, make your final edits. You can sit on it for a week, come back, make another final edits. Once that design is completed, comes back to me, I get the takeoff sheet and my team and I put the proposal together.
Okay, so that makes sense. I see with planting and softscapes, but what about when it comes to like ripping out, busting up concrete and doing patio designs and luxury outdoor living spaces with kitchen areas and knowing where all the water is going to flow and drain and paying, and then sprinklers and underground utilities? Get into that a little bit.
So that's where you'd have to hire an architect or an engineer firm to get approvals and plans all drawn up. And I'll be honest with you, Keith, we don't really do that type of work. We haven't gotten that level into it. Now, we do rip up concrete patios and redo stuff and things like that. But we haven't really gotten into that level of things. But that, like you're getting at, I assume, that's on a whole other level of project management, of detail, of experience. You have to really know, through and through what you're doing.
I just had this memory of a customer who has like a $50,000 patio, and we were just gonna seal it with sealer. I was like, oh, you just had this installed last fall. We could just rinse it off and clean it off and spray sealer. We don't have to do anything. And so, so I went and got all this product, and I started sealing the steps right off the sliding door. And like within like, I don't know, we were only there an hour. We cleaned off the patio, moved all the furniture. And then it occurred to me I had no idea what I was doing, and I would probably mess everything up. So I backed out of the job, and I never back out of jobs, but I knew that I would mess it up for a fact. And I took all the product back. The customer was pissed. And yeah. So have you done any jobs where you've had to go back and fix and repair things?
100%. 100. I mean, the project we just wrapped up last week, like $100K project, the steps coming out of the back door, the pavers, I'll admit my guys probably rushed that step, and they were fine, but the pattern was off per the client. I said, hey man, like you just spent 100 grand with us. Of course we'll fix this. He was super chill about it. Was an immediate need. So we'll do it at the end of the summer. But basically we got to uplift, the top part of these steps and relay it from center out. So.
Oh, real quick, that job I backed out of, it was about a decade ago, and I was terrified, and I took on the job because I needed money, and I was saying yes to anything just to get money to pay bills. It was a lot of mistakes made. So you went back and you fixed those steps, and then the customer was happy?
We haven't fixed it yet. That project just wrapped up like 2 days ago, and I'm still getting texts from him. But we've gone back and fixed things. We have a warranty with our work. We're never 100%. Sometimes on these large projects, the client expectations on certain details don't align with what I had in line. So you just have to have a man-to-man conversation, figure out the best solution, and execute on the solution. And that's what we did.
That's awesome. What about planting warranties for installing plants? What's up with that?
Such a great question, Keith. And for the landscapers listening to this, do not provide a warranty in your contract. And here's the analogy I use this word track when I'm selling large planting projects. We just got done like a $60,000 install last week of just plants and sod. I say, hey, Miss Smith, here's why I don't warranty your plants anymore. When I first got started in the business, I provided a 1-year warranty, and my clients, Mr. and Miss Smith, would go to Europe in August for 2 weeks, and they would forget to water, or they would hire the watering boy down the street, and he wouldn't do it. And I would come back and have to replace $6,000 worth of shrubs. Legally, I would have to do that. Therefore, I don't put in my contract anymore.
All right. So then what do they say?
And I'm dead serious when I say that too. Like, they look at me and they don't really say much. It clicks in their head a little bit, and they say, all right, makes sense.
We just did a rip out and install. This job was like $7,400. It wasn't no 60 grand, but I tell the customer, I say, and I put it all in writing. It's in the contract. I say, we don't offer, I said, we buy the plants from a certified nursery. The root balls on the plants are big, so the survivability of the plants are big. We use best planting practices. We amend the soil per whatever, the shrub requires with Mike's transplant fertilizer and the compost. And so we dig, twice as wide, twice as deep, amend the soil, and then we give you watering instructions. And then I say, well, 1 out of 50 things dies. And if anything dies, then you have a warranty with the nursery, but you'll have to pay us again to replant it, but at least you'll get a free. Is that fair? And they're like, yes. So I just give them the warranty information, and then I don't know. I only have things die once in a while, but when it happens, it sucks. And even if it does, there's times I went back pro bono and I just do it for free anyways, even though the contract says that, because I want to keep my customers. Yeah. So
exactly. And to add on to that point, Keith, I say the same thing. I say at the end of this whole Europe analogy, I say, guys, listen, if we install 85 shrubs and fall time comes around and 3 coral bells are dead, call me up or just send me a picture and I'll obviously come out and replace it. That's a good business practice. And that's what we do.
Yeah. So, and I give them watering instructions. Say we're in the Midwest, so you have to water these, I don't know, these arborvitaes until the last of the leaves on the last of the trees fall. You think because it's fall time that you're done watering, you're not. So I give them like, if it's like, I don't know, a 3-inch caliper autumn blaze maple, I'm going to you to put a, what is it, 4 or 5 gallon buckets once a week. I'm not going to get into watering instructions. That's if it's really hot out, and I just give it to them and I put it all in there. And so we have like, we used to print them out. I had a mobile printer in the truck, but that was a huge pain. So you could just attach it and jobber. What?
I know. So you used to, when I was watching your videos, you used to do the estimate, walk with the client, go back in the truck, say, client, give me 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to come knock on your door. You would type it up, print it out, and be like, I need a decision, basically.
What do you mean a decision?
Like, I thought in one of the videos, this was years ago, so I could have memorized it wrong, where at this point in your career, you were going out providing the estimate, and you were basically saying on camera, you're like, I really just need a decision now. I'm not going to chase my time trying to call you back up and close you. It's either like you're yay or nay to the client you're speaking.
Yeah, I was there. I was sitting in the truck doing it all then and there. And I needed a deposit and I needed it on the calendar now. Let's do this now. And, another thing I did that I didn't realize until after the fact, I don't know if it kind of worked in my benefit. It probably pissed off some of the customers, but I just wasn't at that level of awareness. I would spend an hour walking around a property with a client. We'd even talk about life. And at the very end, I'd give them the proposal, to do the job. I'd give them a verbal price if I knew all my numbers, which I did. And then I would give it to them right then and there, like 10 minutes later in the truck or however long it took. But I would say, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm looking at my calendar. We can be here in 7 weeks. And they just invested so much time and emotion. They're like, frick, bro. All right, see you in 7 weeks, I guess. I'm like, bet. See you in 7 weeks. So yeah, now I talk to the customers. I'm like, just so you know, we are booked out 4 to 6 weeks before we can do the actual work. Does that work for you? And it's the middle of June. They're like, well, I thought you could come here by this weekend. And I'm like, peace.
Nope.
So, all right. So what are all these services that you, the ones you offer? What's your favorite service? And what's the one is like the highest profit? And which one do you hate doing? It's the lowest profit or something like that.
I would say the highest profit margin type of work, and I probably like it the most. Well, the highest profit margin work we do is drainage work, hands down.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Drainage work?
Yes, sir.
To go into that, tell us about that.
So drainage work in my book would be defined as anything from an underground downspout, Keith, anywhere from a French drain, a swale, regrading off a foundation, flow wells, all these different things like NDS. I'm sure the landscapers in here have heard about NDS products. It's about installing all that kind of stuff. It's usually just majority of it's moving dirt around and putting pipes in, or just like when we go on a property and we re-swale a property, that's probably the highest profit margin service because number 1 and 2, the truck and the equipment, I'm already paying for my yearly overhead. So it's already accounted for whether we're doing a mulch job that day or a drainage project and using my Mini X or my skid steer. Number 2, the supplies needed to finish off a swale is grass seed and straw, or most times we're using straw matting so nothing washes out. So that's very minimal compared to hardscape projects where we're buying $14,000, $18,000, $24,000 worth of material getting delivered, delivery fees, all this kind of poly sand, triaxles of stone, boom, boom, boom. So drainage work, it's I love it because we're in and out usually in a day or a couple days, and it's very high profits.
Nice. I have a landscape customer. We were just there a few hours ago. She takes me in her backyard and she says, "You see my neighbor over there?" She was very nice. I'm just being silly. But she said that they had a real French drain installed, and I saw it pitching all the way down towards her property, and all her back garden beds, when it rains, gets flooded because they installed a drain to take the water off their yard, and it dumps into her yard now. I was like, that's crazy. And she said that the company didn't even pull a permit. So how do you deal with when you have neighbors that have different levels of yards, and how do you mitigate those type of risks of potentially not getting someone else's yard drained, soaked with water or something like that.
Yeah. So let's just take the analogy you just used, Keith. This your client's neighbor got a French drain installed, and it's ending up in her backyard. If we're using traditional NDS products, you need slope anyways for the water to move. So in that instance, in Keith's client's neighbor's yard, the water is going to end up at the lowest spot anyways. So in an argumentative sake, why would it matter if it leaches through the ground and ends up in a garden bed, or if we just take it directly from the gutters of the house, run it underground with a pop-up 15 feet away from the property line, and then it ends up in the same spot. So that would just be a conversation. But we really, I mean, thankfully, we have not ran into like crazy neighbors coming at us. Like we just provide a good solution that doesn't really bug anyone. I don't know.
Do you I have so many good questions. So okay, how about this? Let me just go to the next thing.
Yeah.
I see all these comments coming around. I just want to give people a shout out just so they know I see here. We got Marvin Joels. What's up, buddy? He's going to be on the podcast soon from Blacktop Banter. Somebody from LinkedIn, I don't know. Dominic Marshall. Let's go, Chase. What up, though? Double duty. Appreciate you too. Thank you so much. KK's Lawn and Landscape. He says he uses Pro Landscapes, the name of the software.
Nice.
Adam Geringer for the love. I'm sorry. Adam Geringer, sir. Because if I would have just said it fast, Adam Geringer, but I might be disrespecting this guy. I need to show him respect if he was here right now. For the love of God, this guy's Spanish is good. We didn't speak Spanish. Sammy Hall, how to start in 2025 with $0. I have actually a whole video on that. Well, you need about $100 to get started. I bet none of y'all are sitting on a skid steer with guys laying sod right now. Who's this? Blaine Perry. Yeah. Erica Crouppen. She was just at the biggest jobber event. Yo, what up, though?
Yo, Erica.
What's up? We got, okay, the Dutch cut. Looks like you got a new crib, Keith. No, this is not a new crib. It's a virtual background because it's 100 degrees in my studio right now. So I'm in my basement setup, and it's just a basement behind me. It's boring to look at. So I put on this virtual background. Should I show them the basement? Where is it? I'll go to virtual background. I'm wasting time here. There it is. We got it's just a basement. I got my own workout area back there. Everything's good. All right, back to the show. I gave everybody a shout out. What's up, the Dutch cut? Everything's good. Okay, so Chase, when you started buying equipment, I know you can start it with hand tools and stuff like that, but what was your first major equipment purchase? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Did you buy it on payments? Did you buy it cash? And what was it?
It's a great question, Keith. I would say the first big piece of equipment I bought, I was 19 years old. I was extremely nervous, and I bought a compact landscape tractor, John Deere 2025R. It was early season, like end of February. I had just turned 19, and this was when I transitioned my business completely out of lawn care. I switched the name to CMG Landscaping, and I went all in on project-based landscaping. And so I had my lawn care equipment lined up to sell. I had bought a dump trailer, and the missing piece I needed was a compact machine. So I went down the street to John Deere, and I was like, well, why not just go in and just see if I'll get approved? Like, let's just see. And I had my LLC set up. So I went in there, did my thing. And the guy's like, all right, what are you looking for? We spec'd it out. He ran it through the system. And like 25 minutes later, he's like, all right, dude, you're approved. I'm like, no way. It was like 0% interest, 5 years, a $32,000 machine. And I paid $500 a month. And 2 weeks later, I picked that motherfucker up. I was so excited.
Nice. All right, bet. Next question. Did you have a shop or a storage unit, or did you park it at home? Where did you park your equipment when you first got started?
When I first got started, I was in my mom's garage, and we were using my brother's SUV, and I bought a 5x8 trailer from Lowe's, but my mom had to go, I was 13 at the time, so she had to drive us. And so we picked the trailer up. We went inside, we bought plywood. She's like, I'm going to build you like a little platform so the skids or the zero turn tires don't like bend the metal on like those cheap things. So we like bought this trailer, we got it registered across the street. And so we'd go mow the lawns all day. And then we lived in like townhomes in like an alley. So you would just pull the truck, the SUV and the trailer forward. We'd unload the push mower and the zero turn, put up the gate, and you could just hand wheel the trailer in the garage. And then we'd park the zero turn behind it.
That's awesome. And then did you move on and get a storage unit or a shop or something?
Yeah, so right around that age, like 17, 18, I went down the street. This super nice guy named Barry, local guy. I just hit him up. I'm like, yo, dude, I need a shop. Like, he had like a yard space in the back, and we were looking at the neighbor's house. Like I mentioned something about $300 to $500. And a week later, he was like, yo, dude, you want to just rent the back half of my yard for $300? And I was like, this is a blessing. It was less than 2 minutes from my house, and it was less than 85 feet from my supply yard.
So did that yard have like a canopy or something that you could just put equipment under, or a garage or something?
It had a shed that I would put all my hand tools in and like seed and stuff like that. Everything else, it was, open. And I had an enclosed trailer as well. So I had like a dump trailer. I had my John Deere compact tractor. And then I had like an F-250, and I had a brand new Dodge Ram. So that was like my setup when I was like 19.
Oh, that's dope. And so then what did you do from there?
Then I, grew that side of the business, did it for a full year. Then I hired a project manager / I would say more foreman. And that's what helped me just get out of the field. I'd focused on sales and marketing so this is like literally a year later from when I picked up that John Deere tractor. So now I'm 20. We need a bigger yard. We're going to hire more employees. So I like searched around, got connected through one of my buddies, and rented a larger yard space for $500 a month. And then, so we moved like across town. This was like 15, 18 minutes from my house. And we moved all our stuff over there, bought another dump trailer. Still had one machine. And long story short, to finish that one off, basically that's how I met the guy that I bought my property off of now. So now I own 32 acres of raw land, and we store my equipment with containers on it. And so my old landlord, Elkin, I rented for him for like a year and a half. And then I was paying him rent one day. He's like, I've been trying to sell the back half of my property. This guy hasn't come through with the down payment. I'm willing to owner finance it. And dude, I was such an eager kid at the time. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in middle school. I would listen to Bigger Pockets all day. So I was like, Elkin, I will pay $10,000 more than whatever the fuck that guy's offering you. And he was like, really? And so we went back and forth. Long story short, I ended up buying that property, and that's where we've been ever since.
Love it. How much was the property and how many acres?
It was $450,000. It was 32 acres.
And then is it a monthly payment?
Yeah, we set it up where it was $85,000 down payment, and then it was $2,400 a month for 10 years with a balloon payment. And I purchased that property, did a bunch of work to it. It was one of those things like me and you, we get into business, you don't necessarily know what you're doing until you figure it out. But I thought I could clear the property and build a road with my compact tractor. That was not the case. So this kind of leads into a big part of my story. So when I was 20, like 19, 20, around the same time, I also have a rare kidney disease. My kidney doctor was basically saying, hey, your kidneys are failing. You're going to need a kidney transplant. So during this year, I hired a project manager. I hired all this team. I bought this. Literally a month before I went into the hospital for my transplant, I bought this property. And when I was in the hospital, I was basically buying an $85,000 skid steer, like signing off on the Bobcat loan. So I bought this property, didn't realize my small equipment couldn't clear the land. And so we were talking with my foreman, like, hey, we got to get a bigger machine here. So I ended up buying a Bobcat, and that's how we kept growing.
So the employees come and they park. Did you create a parking space? Do they park on gravel or something? Or
Exactly.
So where do they actually punch in?
On the Jobber app.
Oh, they just are right on their phones?
Yes.
Oh, that's so smart. Dude, I just had this memory. I was a foreman for this huge landscape company, and it's they had a biometric hand scanner. You had to put your hand on every morning, and I was a huge conspiracy guy, and I'm like, I'm not putting my hand on the biometric hand scanner. They're like, well, you pretty much have to, or you can't work here, because I had already worked there about 6 months before they installed the thing. And they're like, we don't care. And I was like, and I gave it, and I started scanning my hand.
It's a good idea, low key.
So, all right. So, how many crews?
Right now we have 3 going on 4.
Is there a lawn crew?
No, nope. I don't mow any lawns.
What about just property maintenance?
Nope. There's no property maintenance. It's all installation style work. I will say some of those crews do spring cleanups in the springtime if you consider that property maintenance.
You know, I just thought of something. Stan Genetic, the Dirt Monkey, taught me something amazing once. There's a spring rush where, like, cutthroat season, everybody's trying to get work, and he said that he will pre-sell jobs in the late fall. So when the spring comes, he just eases right into the game. So talk about client retention, marketing, and advertising. What would you say is your superpower in your business, and what are you best at, and what do you suck at? All those things.
Okay, so there's a lot there, but what I would say we're great at is answering our phones, getting right back to our clients, and providing a 5-star experience. We are the highest and most rated landscape install company in the Philly mainline, Chester County area.
Good for you.
And that's what we do well, is just like, we just get back to our clients, right? We show up with a smile. We find our clients answers to their questions, and that's what we do. As far as marketing goes, I'm obviously doing social media. I do Angie's. I do Google guarantees sometimes. That's like an on and off thing. I do tons of SEO. That is my business's highest lead source, is SEO. And then networking. I'm a big networking guy. So like I just get jobs based on people I know that want a larger landscape install.
Okay, so with contact switching, what I mean is, like, to run a business, you have to switch hats. You have to be the sales guy, then you got to be the project manager, then you have to do all these things, then you have to be calling and getting the materials and timing. It's a moving chessboard of, it's nonstop. Then it's raining all of a sudden, then a guy doesn't show up for work and you're moving this, and then all this stuff. How do you have time to make sure you check the boxes to do the marketing and the relationship building and do all the things that you're supposed to do?
Well, I would say it's a lot of delegation. You got to keep the responsibilities to that person's like role, right? It's like a foreman knows, hey, in the jobber app, they get into my shop, they're reviewing the videos for that day's project. They're going to know where they have to go to get the materials, run their crew, manage their crew. So, and then my office manager, she has to answer all the calls, type up my estimates, blah, blah, blah. So there's that, right? So that saves me a tremendous amount of time. But I will say, Keith, it's like a skill set you have to develop, because like you said, there's a million things in the spring rush. Like, it gets so overwhelming. You want to just like go to sleep sometimes, like literally in the middle of the day, you just want to be out of it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. You just do as much as you can every day and wake up and keep going at it. I don't know.
I love it. Okay, so you just keep going at it. What is your superpower? What are you the best at?
With business,
something that other people like, it comes easy to you. What to other people would be like, that's really hard, but to you, it's just natural.
I would say getting back to people, or getting back to people, or like promoting. I would say I'm like a really good promoter. I'm always promoting on my story. I mean, all day. I'm like, that'd be a great video, and it comes naturally. Like, let's film this, let's film that. Post.
You just reminded me, Patrick Bet-David from PBD podcast said something. He just popped up on my Instagram. He was sitting in his car and he said, the most successful people he knows in the hyper really successful people have one thing in common, especially the really successful ones. He goes, they get back to me so quickly when I have a question or something. And of course, who he is, he's a high profile guy. And he says the people he notices that struggle with success, they sit on the fence in little tiny decisions, and they can't make up their mind, and they don't get back too fast, and they stall and they struggle and procrastinate. It was like, so my question to you is, if you draw a line down the center versus what is real versus what's imagined, how do you get through those pontifications, which is like a made up bull crap in your head, to be able to decide this is what's real and I'm going to execute, versus stalling on decisions where you don't know the answer? Should we go this way or this way? Should I take this on or should I not? Like, crossing the chasms of gray areas of stuff that you don't know. Like, how do you kind of like face your fears and make decisions. It's called like we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Or do you get what I'm saying with this?
Yes, I understand. Maybe it's like analogy is like it's like how I look at it is you have fearful thoughts as a business owner. What if this employee quits? What if this happens? What if that happens? So I'll say like just this year, just a month and a half ago, my main guy, we split ways. And my biggest fear up until that point was, well, what if this person leaves? What will I do? And my thought 3 months ago was like, oh, I'd probably just shut down my business. I'd go do social media and fucking real estate and like just that, you know what I mean? Less than a week after that, my business has gone the exact opposite way. It was actually the biggest blessing. And so a lot of people don't realize like their biggest fear, number one, might not even happen. And it's just a thought. Like Keith was just saying, like there's reality, then there's thoughts. So there's a bunch of stuff to it, Keith. I think it's about having a positive mindset. I think it's about having a clean mindset. It's about being focused, about, hey, like I'm not going to sit here and think about at night when I'm going to go to bed about what can happen. I just know I need to go to bed tonight because I have to get up at 5 tomorrow and I have to go run my cruise tomorrow because that's reality. So there's like that type of stuff. And then there's like fear, false evidence appearing real. It's probably thoughts that haven't actually happened. So why even worry about it?
You know, I remember when I threw my live event, the first one was a success. The second one was a success, but I was up till 2, 3 in the morning every night, literally selling tickets on Facebook chat and talking to people and getting on the phone to make sure I sold the event. After the event was over, I was so exhausted. I was like freaking traumatized, bro. And I was about to drop 20 grand to throw another live event. And I had a bunch of chaos and family issues going on. Actually, the event would have cost me $50,000 out of pocket. And so I pulled out and because I knew what it would cost me to make the event happen. I had not even a guarantee, like I could have ended up, 30, 40 grand in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then I launched another event and I trusted an event manager that told me to make the ticket prices way too high. I'll try to make this quick. I'm like, no way people that watch my stuff are going to pay that much per ticket. He's like, no, this guy used to manage like multi-million-dollar motivational seminars. I was like, you know what if my intuition and my gut feeling is wrong and I really need to break free from my self-limiting beliefs? Yeah, let's charge really high tickets and make this a big deal. Bro, the event was so high level, it resonated with nobody and nobody was buying any tickets. And I ended up like canceling the whole event, refunding people's money, paying for people's airplane tickets and hotels. Luckily it only cost me, I think I went like 5,000-6,000 in the hole. But I was thinking about that. I was like, my intuition told me this all along. And I was actually back testing it. I was testing against my own intuition to see if my intuition is right, like of certain things like that. So I'm bringing this up because some people are afraid to take leaps and risks and chances because their intuition is messing with them so much that they're watching time go by and they really want to take a leap, and they just can't get any more information, and they're just trapped and they're stuck, frankly. And it's like I can think of times I've taken leaps in my life and it's turned out amazing. I can think of times I've failed. I have tons of failures. So like, what about you? How do you develop and trust your intuition that it highly increases the chances that it will work? Like, is it a feeling? Is it a mathematical thing? Just take the floor and let me know.
Keith, I would say this year alone has been the biggest confidence in my intuition because of what occurred with my team, my capabilities, my growth. So I would say, to answer your question, it's based off of experiences. So it's like you just experienced, you tested it. You said, I don't know if this is a good idea. It went forward. It wasn't a good idea. That builds confidence in your decision-making, in Chase's decision-making. So that's where I would say, to answer your question, comes from experiences. And so as I've gotten older, like I'm still only 24, so I'm still new to everything, but one situation after the next, I'm building confidence. And then I think that correlates to the last part of this conversation about how do you make quick decisions and keep the ball rolling. It's about your experiences and how you've lived through those.
That I'm picking up from that is something that you're not saying. It's just like saying like you can make small iterations that aren't super high risk, and then you really build that sense of intuition. You keep counting the math on the back end, and then you can take a little bit like bigger leaps. You know what I'm saying? Because from the onset of you talking, my name is Chase Gallagher. I have multi-million-dollar business. I buy $450,000 property. I buy this. I buy that. I buy it all. And if some people are watching, they're like, look at me smiling. And it's like, I'm very curious, and I'm testing the intuition. I'm waiting for the laughs. All right, so damn it, I need to.
But get to the point there, Keith. What's the point?
Yeah. Oh, so the point is, I get dozens of messages a week of people who watch my videos, and they come and they'll not on the public chat. They'll come and they'll private DM me, and they really want to go full time in their business, or they want to launch their business, or they feel trapped and they feel stuck. And if I dig in a little bit deeper, it's sometimes it's because of narcissistic or toxic family members or drama going on in the household that it could be all the way down to generational curses. They feel there's something going on where they're stuck, or they're almost like being held, and they're afraid to break free. And the entrepreneurs that I know that break free, that do very well for themselves, or at least break free, they somehow have this healthy relationship with fear, and they get over the fear of repercussions if they jump out on their own. For imagine like there's somebody right now, they want to launch their business, and they're terrified of that if they fail, they'll fail their family, and then everybody will hate them, and they'll be the biggest piece of crap walking. And that maybe, let's say there's a guy who's your age, he wants to launch his business. It could be a man or a woman, and he's got a toxic family member saying, don't do that if you fail. And then if they fail, there's like, oh, I told you so. Now it's your fault. It's your fault that we are losing everything because you wouldn't listen to my intuition. There's like crazy shit going on in households behind closed doors that I'm fascinated by. But then there's these really successful entrepreneurs that stuff just literally doesn't affect them. So can you speak to somebody that's wanting to launch out in their own business, and they know they have it in them to be successful, but they might have, people holding them back?
Yeah, bad environment. I would just say, like, a lot of the points you just made, Keith, like, you have to take action. So, hey, I want to go full time in my business. Well, nothing's going to be full time if you're just thinking about going full time. So that's number one. Like, you got to take action. You have to lean in on that full time. If it's putting less hours into your W-2 and putting more hours in your landscaping business, if it's putting together a plan on a Word doc saying, all right, well, over the next 12 months, here's the capital I need to start my landscaping business. Here's the equipment I can finance. Here's what I net after my bills are paid for my W-2. There's certain action items anyone can do to create their goals and work their way backwards. And then the other thing too, I'm a big component on is like eliminating excuses, right? We all have, myself included. I grew up in a household. Oh, this isn't a good idea. Don't do this. You need to go to college. You need to go do school. You need to do, like, every single day. All my entire family is all W-2 employees. They're everyone, cousins, everyone. So I would just say, yo, man, like, exit out the BS, go on YouTube at night, watch guys like Keith and myself, because that's what I did when I was 13 to 18, and put action into everything. Like, it just stop thinking about it, just start doing it.
It's amazing. So what you said is actually the truth, right? And then as you're speaking, I see like there's two superheroes, and they both have capes, right? But what people, or the one superhero, can't see is the other one has like a knife or a stake stuck in the back of the cape in the ground, and the person can't go anywhere because there's this thing sticking in the back of their cape. And I'm curious of what is that. And maybe if you pull hard enough, it'll just rip through, and the cape will just rip in two. And then you'll be flying, and there will be just the cape will be a little bit tattered, and then you'll be a badass, because that'll be proof that you got out of that situation.
I like
That's what you know why I talk like this? I'm hyper aware that I'm going on and on about this weird ethereal stuff. I do it on purpose and intentionally because I was the guy watching shit like this saying, yeah, I understand what these guys are saying, but they don't understand what I'm going through right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not coming home from the hospital because like their mom just overdosed on heroin. Right. They're not visiting a family member in the mental institution. They're not like, but here's what I learned to everybody watching. The really successful family members entrepreneurs are dealing with that stuff, but they're so fucking strong and resilient. And they have so much love in their heart that they do it anyway. And they communicate because they have strength. Their pain turns into their foundation. Anyways.
I love that you said that, Keith. I love that. Yeah.
All right, let's look at some of these comments. Oh, wait, I got to do a quick commercial. Guys, if you want to know how to do social media in your business, so you can get more marketing going in your business, so you can get more leads, get more customers. I'm coming out with a new program soon called Social Media for Landscapers, and it's going to be epic. And we get leads all the time from our social media. Customers call us. They're like, bro, I saw your crazy videos. I would never hire you. You're insane. And they hang up on me. I'm just joking. We get customers and leads. And let me get these comments real quick. That's the end of the commercial. Donald, everyone gonna want it done at the same time, and I'm only one crew. Like, I understand that. Paul Wright Lawns. If you don't believe in yourself, you're gonna fail. I say, watch me. Bro, I love that shit. Watch me. That was me, bro. Watch me. All right. So speaking of social media, brother Chase Gallagher, has social media helped you get any more leads in your business? Do you do social media for your actual business? Talk about that.
Tremendously, Keith. Especially in the business model that I'm in. Number one, to answer your question, yes, social media hands down has gotten me so much business. It's put me in the right rooms, people, etc. And what I will say too is we track our lead sources. So when someone calls my company, we're asking, hey, how did you hear about us? Our business Instagram, our Facebook, Google ads, Angie ads. Our customers that find us from our organic social media, my business Instagram page, always spend more. They're 15, 20, 70, 85K, 100 grand. Like that's usually what they're in. And so, yeah, that's why I'm going to keep posting videos on my Instagram.
Very smart. Now, do you location geotag them to your local area, or do customers just see them because you just have such a big following?
So I don't know what that specific question means, but I do tag like Malvern, PA, Chester Springs,
Perfect.
PA, Wayne,
That's
PA.
what I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I do that on all my platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Even if like certain platforms, like my personal Instagram is not meant for my client base. But there's Pat Fair. Yo, Pat, what's going on, brother?
Chase is the man. He's actually my shop neighbor.
So where's it going with that? So yeah, I do geotag. I forget what I was saying. What's up, Pat?
Yeah, Google Maps would be like a location extension where you're geotagging on social media, so it's showing up in the local area. And it's important to do. Tag your local area on social media. So how often do you create social media content in your business and about your business and about the topic?
Minimum at least once a day, if not multiple times a day. I would say my business Instagram story section has a story up at minimum 97% of 365 and a half days of the year. And then like when I was growing my social media, Keith, it was 3 times a day for 12, 18 months straight. I didn't miss a day. That was on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
You use a camera or your phone?
Yeah, just use my phone. And then at certain times I'd hire like a videographer and we do different stuff and put that content out there as well.
What kind of phone you got?
Just an iPhone.
Great. Guys, if you want to know how to do all social media and literally build an empire with nothing more than your smartphone, take out your browser and type in keithkelfis.com/smartphone. You get my totally free ebook that teaches you all the steps to find your superpower and how to market your business with your smartphone. What are you drinking there? Is that Peregrino stuff?
Yeah, it's sparkling water is what I call it.
Because it doesn't have any sugar in it, right?
No sugar. It's 0 calorie.
That's good for you. That's awesome. Well, sir, do you have any, I want to wrap up here in a few minutes. I respect your time and everybody here. Do you have any topics or anything that you want to talk about?
So what I do have a question for you. What is the podcast is called the Untrapped Podcast, and what does that mean to you? What is like an untrapped landscaper look like?
Well, I first started the YouTube channel. It was 2013. I was coming up with this idea, and I said I took an 80-hour long, like $10,000 course by Eben Pagan called the Guru Home Study Course. It was the Guru Study Blueprint, and he said get extremely hyper specific and create your own sub niche. So if there's a topic or a niche, you want to actually invent a niche that doesn't exist by a subcategory. So I got so specific. I said, what are landscaping employees that are stuck doing lawn care and landscaping and they feel trapped? Because that's how I felt. I was scratching my own itch. And I created this YouTube channel called the Landscaping Employee Trap. And it was actually going to be a beta test so that I could go into motivational psychology and personal development, the whole thing. But then the thing blew up. And then around 2014, I started the podcast. And I said, well, I kind of like this untrapped theme of getting untrapped out of self-limiting beliefs in your consciousness and your emotions. If you feel trapped, let's get you untrapped. So I was like, and it also kind of something that sticks in your mind. It's not like the greatest name, but I was like, let's come up with the Untrapped Podcast. So I started 2014 talking. I was pacing around, yelling in my phone and uploading it. And we've been uploading since 2014. And then I started this private group called the Untrapped Alliance about 7 months ago. And it's a private group coaching program that we have. And so it's just something I made up, bro.
Good.
I have a friend who went to this internet marketing conference, and the top $100 million marketing gurus at a lot of the household names that we know in the marketing space. He got to I won't say his name, but he went to they had like a hotel party where everybody was hanging out. He's like, I'll go hang out with these people. These are like the friggin' millionaires. And he said he goes in the hotel party and they were all passing around a blunt. And he's like, whoa, like I was shocked too. And then he says basically they were laughing, like, why do we keep throwing these big man, I gotta be careful what I say here. These big events. And he's like, because people want to learn this stuff and because it works. But they were at a point they didn't have to do it anymore. And they were just like reminiscing. And then he said at some moment it occurred to him, this guy I'm talking about is really successful too. He said it dawned on him that these people that we look up to, like on social media, they're literally making it all up as they go. They're just making it all up. And so, and I was like, whoa. So when he told me that, I was like, it's something like your nervous system has like, no, literally. I mean, I'm not talking about like, I don't want to get too deep. Like you talk about like the public administrative system and the public charitable trust and the way everything runs in our government system. This is like multi-thousand-year technology stuff. I don't know if it's way above my pay grade. I'm just talking about your little tiny business and marketing your business and how do you come up with stuff. You can literally just make it up. Right. And then you can also go find mentors like Chase Gallagher or people online, and you can buy their courses and read books and stand on the shoulders of giants and learn all the best practices. And learn from other people's mistakes. But at some point, you're the inventor and the creator of your own friggin' reality. Is there anything in your landscape business or in your social media that you had an idea and you literally just made it up and it worked?
In regards to like a project or social media?
Any of the above. What is something you got excited about in an intuition and you just ran with it and it took off?
I don't know specifically that answer, but I will say this, Keith. And I tell my students this all the time in my coaching program, like document, don't try to create, right? Because like you're as a business owner, we have 1,000 hats already. So we can't really like finesse a creating, but all I do is document. I'll be on a job site. I'll just explain what I'm doing, point the camera at my face so people understand who's talking, who, you know what I mean? Who's running the business. So I just document.
Really? That's amazing. So you fall in this category of like, you're obviously an overachiever, but you're kind of gifted, because if you go on Chase's social media, it looks kind of like it's planned. There's something about your, you know what it is? It's your quality of your presence. You're very present. You're looking in the camera, you're smiling, and it comes across as very high end and professional, but it's just you being you. So what is the secret formula, or what are you doing to make it be that way?
What is this? I don't know, Keith. You tell me. It's my vibe. I don't know. The secret formula, I don't know. I'm just documenting. I turn the camera around like this. I mean, literally, this is probably 85% of my videos. I go like this. I click the little side video volume thing, but it's filming me. And then I go like, all right, guys, here's what we're doing today. And then a lot of times I'll turn around like this, because like I'm a Logan vlogger. You know what I mean? And I'll just be like, all right, guys, if you know, 484-901-6635. That's all I'm doing 90% of the time. And I'll pop that up.
So when you smile, you smile all the time. Are you actually happy, or is it a habit? Or what if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're cranky and you're upset and do you ever feel negative, or you have to force yourself to make a video, or do you just not make videos that day?
I will say yes. There's like vibration days where it's like, if it's raining out and shit's like, and I'm like just so mellowed out, I'm just like sitting there like I have to force myself to make something, or I'll go back on my camera roll, find something and post it. I will say 90% of the time, how you see me in Vegas, how you see me here, this is how I am. Like I wake up, I like since elementary school, my elementary school teacher's been telling my mom that when they come in and talk about the progress, like, oh, he's just always smiling in class. Like I've just always smiled.
I was a kid, ADHD. I was the class clown. I always won the class clown award every single year, no matter what. And I was doped up on the most ADHD medication, and Ritalin. The doctors say, just increase the doses. I'd cry in the morning. My mom, just take it. Oh my God. Sorry, man. So what I'm doing here is I'm being the in-between person, because I like to be the bridge for people who are struggling with self-esteem and they really want to become great in their lives. And I want them to know that no matter what you came from or where you came from, that can be a foundation of strength again. And Tony Robbins says sometimes we underestimate, what is it? We overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in, what is it, 10 years?
I thought it was 5.
5 years. So it's like your dreams actually can come true. You can build yourself to be the person you dream. Stan Genetic, he says, be yourself with the volume turned all the way up. So if you're insecure on camera on your phone, or you're afraid to make content, just be insecure on the camera. Like, yo, I don't normally do this, and I feel like I suck, but I have courage and I'm brave, and I'm gonna make this video right now, and I want to show you this property that we're working on. We love what we do. We love taking care of our customers, and we're doing this landscape job right now. And if you have hyper vulnerability when you're just videotaping yourself with your iPhone, and you're authentic in your vulnerability, even though you're nervous or insecure, that will come across, because the highest version of yourself that you can vibrate is that of authenticity, right? And if you practice and you keep doing the iterations and getting your reps in, it'll get to the point where it becomes natural.
Dude, and Keith, like to speak about your point about building self-esteem, I love that. Like it's all about, like you just said, it's about getting reps in and building habits. I used to be in 9th grade. I used to be the fattest kid in my high school. I used to walk to the gym after school. Kids would throw shit at me, call me fat from the buses, like crazy stuff. And so
really, that happened to you?
Yes.
I'm sorry, brother.
It's all good. You know what we're talking about, how like that pain is your foundation for success. That's exactly what it was. I changed my lifestyle, went to the gym, changed my diet, and like turned my life around. So like anyone can do it. It's really just about building new habits within your life, new habits. Instead of going home and eating dinner after school and then another dinner when your mom comes home, go to the gym and just eat one. Or instead of smoking weed to go to bed, go to the fucking gym and be tired when you go to bed. Stuff like that. I don't know.
That's good. Yeah. Redirect that.
Right.
And that's amazing. All right. So a couple of comments getting here, and then we'll wrap this up. Angel Vasquez, what's up? Oh, it's Adam says the horrible thing is that you're the only one holding everything together, and if you fail, your whole family is screwed. Nobody to lean on. Everybody is lost and directionless. Directionless. The world will always be. Paul Wright Lawns, Sean and TQ. What was this? Something about the way I said it, like it was a movie or something.
Yeah.
The world will always be.
This guy's like sitting there, like the poor guy's probably sitting there, like, you know, I don't know, crying behind on his mortgage, trying to feed his family. And we're like,
No, I don't mean it like that, bro, at all.
Adam, you got this, brother.
He's probably laughing right now because I love it when people get dramatic because I don't mean dramatic in a bad way, but he's the horrible thing is the only one holding it together. Dude, I've been doing social media for so long, I can read between the lines. When at least I imagine I can, but much respect to you, Adam Geringer, brother. I see you got a drum set in there, bro. That's crazy. I bet you play the drums. Have you ever heard of the drummer Dave Weckl? He's a jazz drummer, bro. The dude's amazing. Anyways, Christian Torres, how would I know if I got the right sales guy? What are the key points to look for? Do you have a sales guy or you do the sales?
I had a sales guy. Now I'm doing majority of the sales or all the sales. We do some portion of sales just fully remote from pictures and videos. But you know, I would say, guys, like a real sales guy is going to produce. Like a sales guy has to produce. So are they producing or not? Like that's what it is. And if they're not, then try to look at yourself as the leader first. Did I train this person right? Am I giving this person the right resources, you know, to meet expectations or succeed them? But at the end of the day, a sales guy needs to meet the numbers. Like that's just that.
Awesome. In my landscaping business, I've sold a lot of tree jobs that I don't talk about on social media. And so I've teamed up with a friend of mine who does tree work. We've taken down, I don't know, 500 trees, right? Well, he does it. He goes and does it all. And then I just show up with my dump trailer and drag wood and take a portion. So it's not my actual tree job, but we've been on jobs before. But I just sold the job, you know what I'm saying? So he'd be like, this is in the past. He'd be like, what in the hell were you thinking? Like I undercharged it. So then I just went reverse and I was charging really high. And he'd be like, how much did you get for this job? I was like, he's like, and then he'd be all excited and he'd be like, let's do more of this. And I've thought about, I always wonder what it would be like to just do sales full time. Because in my business, I got to the point where I was just doing, I still have my business. We just work all day, but just doing sales and marketing only. And I felt like I was going insane, not doing any of the work. It was a crazy feeling. What to look for in a sales guy? That's amazing. Okay. Is there anything else you want to bring up or talk about before we wrap it up, brother?
No, we can finish answering people's questions if they want.
You guys got any questions for Chase? I would love to have you on if you'd be open to be on my Untrapped Alliance private group to teach our group much more. It's instead of this being a like wide, broad topic podcast, we would go an inch wide and a mile deep and actually teach people how to get their business to the next level.
Let's do it. I'm down.
All right, guys, open up your browser, go to keithkalfas.com/alliance, ALLIANCE, and sign up for the Untrapped Alliance, and you instantly get access to all the replays in there as well. That's where we go deep. It's the next level if you're really serious about your business. You do snow, right?
Yes, sir. Commercial snow.
How many trucks and blades and snow blowers do you have?
3 snow trucks, salters, and plows, and then we have like 1 skid steer, 2 compact machines. But it's, to be honest with you, my snow business is not like a big part of my business.
I knew a guy who did snow only, and he took the summer off. Think about that.
Yeah, I like that.
And like he had like locked down like huge multi-million-dollar contracts. So it was the opposite of the landscape life. Here we go. Watch the Collapse podcast. I just started my business. I have 1 client and 2 days off extra a week. Looking forward to more. Well, congratulations, brother. Is that like a sacred geometry is on his profile picture? I forgot what that is. That like a I don't even want to say it because
Looks like the Illuminati thing.
it's sacred geometry. It's like a tetrahedra. Looks kind of like the flower of life, but it's not. Great show, Chase. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you
Paul.
so much. How can everybody find you on social media, brother?
You guys can go on Instagram, type in my name, Chase_Gallagher, Gallagher. You can check out the links in my bio. You can also go on my YouTube channel. It's just my name. Check out my recent vlogs. I've been really producing some great vlogs and some great feedback. That's where the one Spanish comment came from.
Yeah, there you are. Chase Gallagher. I like that. You got the yellow and white font text on everything.
How does it look?
It looks professional. It looks good. Everything's matching. It's all branded out on Instagram. Okay, where's it on TikTok again? Just type in Chase Gallagher.
Chase Gallagher, same thing.
YouTube, Chase Gallagher.
Chase Gallagher. LinkedIn, Chase Gallagher. Facebook, Chase Gallagher.
Good for you, bro. Let me see. Any more questions before we go? And once again, guys, if you like these podcasts, Untrapped Podcast on Apple, Spotify, it's on like 18 different platforms, wherever your favorite outlet is. Drop some recommended books. Southern Reliable Lawn Care LLC. What are your favorite books, Chase?
My favorite book is Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that in 7th grade right before I started my company. A couple of his books are great, like the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. I used to read, like in middle school, I would read all the time, and I don't anymore. So I don't really know. There's like, I don't know. I'm not a reader.
The Rich Dad Poor Dad books are incredible. You can listen to them on audible.com. His advisory series with Garrett Sutton and Tom Wheelwright. They wrote books like Tax-Free Wealth with Tom Wheelwright, Own Your Own Corporation with Garrett Sutton by the Kiyosaki Advisors. He wrote Cash Flow Quadrant. He also wrote, obviously, the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he wrote the ABCs of Buying and Selling a Business. That book is insane. And then yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. They're amazing. But those ones specifically, if you listen to all of them, they'll just blow your mind. And then I have a couple of book recommendations that'll kick you in the gut. Anything by Gino Wickman, like Traction, Get a Grip, Rocket Fuel, What the Heck is EOS, and the EOS Life. And then connected to that tangentially are the Dan Sullivan books, co-written with Benjamin Hardy, like How to Consciously Design Your Ideal Life. And then Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And then I'm reading his other book right now, Scaling by Benjamin Hardy. Those books are amazing. So Gino Wickman, Benjamin Hardy, and then Robert Kiyosaki. He says, I'm not spamming. So what do we got right here? Keith, my guy, you helped me a lot. I'm a young entrepreneur, just turned 17. I have my window cleaning business. Congratulations, brother. That's awesome. If you haven't checked out yet, you might already. My main YouTube channel is 160,000 subscribers, but my window cleaning blueprint channel for some reason is getting a lot of views and taking off right now. Again, it's just crossed 25 or 26,000 subscribers, and it's strictly window cleaning content only. So you might have found me over there, and thank you and best of success to you and your business, my friend. Christian Torres says, my business is called Rainman Pro Irrigation and Landscaping. I got 14 guys, 4 crews, but I think I do a lot. What would you get first, a project manager or a salesperson, Chase?
I would definitely get a project manager first, but ideally, Christian, and I've been in this, like ideally in the perfect world, you have someone that sells and manages what they sell. Like when I had my manager, I would sell everything. And that was one of our biggest headbutting situations on these bigger jobs or on almost any job. I would sell, and then he would have like hiccups or buy this material for what wasn't in the job or XYZ. So ideally in a perfect world, the guy sells and manages.
Nice. Thank you, Chase. Most people dream of having a $2 million business, and you did it in, how long have you been in business?
10 years.
Oh, 10 years. That's so It's freaking amazing. Do you take Sundays off at least?
I don't. I do certain times of the year, but from March 15th to July 15th, I probably don't.
Non-stop, bro.
Yes.
Crushing it, bro. Thanks so much for being on the Untrapped podcast. Everybody go check out Chase Gallagher on all social media platforms. And thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Anytime, Keith. Thank you again for having me. It's crazy how the world works, man. I used to watch your videos and now we're creating content together.
Bro, my honor.